Hi, I'm Bob from BobTheSoundGuy.com, and today we want to go over changing strings on a classical guitar. So let's get right to it. You can see the classical guitar is a little bit different than a regular steel string acoustic. Number one, the fretboard is a little wider. There's no rod. Normally there's a steel rod that goes up through the center of a steel string guitar. On a classical guitar, because there's less tension from the strings, there's no steel rod, so that's not needed. And also, most classical strings here are tied in a knot, as opposed to steel strings where there's a ball end on them. So let's get right to it. I'm just going to unwind. Okay, so now that we've got most of the strings off here, I'll show you how these strings untie. We already went ahead and untied all of them. I wanted to show you guys how they are. Just kind of pull it off like that, like that. They pull right out just like that. And just throw that away, and just kind of wipe it down a little. All the dust off here. Okay, now that we've got all the strings off, what we're going to do is we're going to put on a new set of strings, and these are Augustine strings. These are very, very nice strings. I like these a lot. These are the red label. So what we're going to do is we are going to get a razor blade, because each one of these is individually sealed. So these have a tie end on them. Now Martin does make other strings. String companies make what's called a ball end. So it's just like a steel string guitar, so it makes it easier to put on a little bit quicker. But a lot of guys like the tie end ones, and just for the sheer fact of that, a lot of times the tie end ones will fit more styles of guitar bridges. So what we're going to do, pull that all the way through. And you can see on these how the winding gets a little bit wider over here towards the end. So what we're going to do is just make sure that there's a little bit of this outside of the winding, and then loop it around one time. Okay. Then kind of like tying a shoe once and twice. Okay, and you just kind of pull that tight. You can see how there's quite a few knots in there. Now there's a reason why I left this much hanging out. I'll show you guys that a little bit later. Do so you want to put a whole bunch of windings. It's not like an acoustic steel string guitar or an electric guitar where you put about 3 windings on. With these you want, oh, good 4. Okay, and now, nylon strings are going to stretch like crazy, so you want to kind of stretch them and pull that knot a little tight. Okay. This up. This would be A. Now here's what I wanted to show you guys, the reason I left this much hanging out. So what I'm going to do, almost like kind of doing like a string lock type thing here. So what we're going to do, leave that much hanging out. I'm going to take this edge of the string. You may want to cut a little bit of that off. Take this edge of the string, put it underneath the other one. So what that does, I'm going to do that to all of them. And what it does is it actually kind of locks the strings themselves in. they don't stretch nearly as much. You stay in tune a little bit better. And as you guys are probably hearing, there's a lot of Harley traffic, a lot of downtown stuff. We're in downtown Gettysburg today at a place called Noteworthy Music. It's my favorite music store in the whole wide world. Okay, now what we're going to do is stretch these strings out. And nylon strings stretch a lot. So you're going to spend a lot of time tuning and tuning and retuning until the strings get to where they need to be. So we're just going through each one here, pulling on them. Not hard, because you don't want to break them after you got them. Okay, now that we've got our strings pretty well stretched, let's go ahead and tune. So we're going to start with the low E. I'm going to match it up. And A. D. G. Okay, B. And then E again. Okay, so now we're going to go back down again. It's already out of tune. So like I said, nylon strings stretch like crazy. So I'm going to stretch them out again. You're going to hear, just to give you an idea of how much these things stretch. Okay, here's where this is. This is the D. Here's where it's supposed to be. Let's go ahead and put another stretch on them. You'll see how far these things will go out of tune. But it's good. You want them to stretch all that, get all that slack out of them. And so after a bunch of stretching, a bunch of fine tuning, here we are at the end with a nice chord. So there you go. It's Bob the Sound Guy. Talk to you later.